Today I have decided I wanted to make an application updater. This is great for games, anything else that you have out there. It's going to require a, you could probably use Google Drive or even OneDrive. You can use anything that you have. You could even use, go down to like a Wix site. You need something that you can control as far as a website, because we're going to be using the UnityWebRequest.Get function, and that will get a text display of whatever it is you're linking to. So we're going to have a text somewhere. Now me, I have my own server. That being said, I can do this a whole lot easier than the average person. So yeah, again, I'm just going to be going over how to make an auto updater, and this will be pretty simple. I'm not gonna put a whole lot of effort into it. I'm just going to make it unavoidable. That way, if let's say you have something that is not safe, or maybe some kind of a security risk, you can stop it at the root before anything else happens. The way that we're going to start off is by, I've already made a script, and I'm going to delete the script now. Then I wanted to start fresh. Go and let it recompile. I'm thinking about making just a cover over my entire application. I think that's where I want to start. Let me make sure that my controller doesn't have an empty script on it. It probably does. Yep, there it is. It's going to remove that. That's the deleted script I just did. So on the canvas, I want it to be on top of everything, so it needs to be at the bottom, as low as you can get it. So on the canvas, I'm going to make a UI. It's going to be an image. And the way I like to do this is I make it full screen. Oops, there we go. You can do that by holding Shift and Alt and then clicking on this box. And then I want to make it black and temporaries, or kind of transparent. Let's do about 150. There we go. That way, any text I put across the screen, the stuff won't bleed through over on top of it. Now what this is going to do, this is going to make a kind of like a block on the entire application. This way nobody can click on anything and go any further. It's just going to stop them to where nothing more can be done. And by default, we're going to want this toggled to off. That way it doesn't cause any problems later on. But there's going to be issues to where if somebody does not have an internet connection, they're still going to be able to bypass this. So I mean, there is some flaws, but this is a very good alternative and a simple way to do it. We're going to be renaming this to update blocker, and then I'm going to put some text on there. That way, yeah. That way they know what's going on, why they're being blocked. I want to bring this up to the top. It's about right. Well, yeah, let's do it like that. Well, no. Yeah, that'll be all right. We'll just do it like that. And I want to make it, say 50 from the left, 50 from the right, and 50 from the top. Oops, yeah, it needs to be a -50. There we go. And I'll just make it as big as I need it manually. Let's see here. I'm going to put this application is out of date. There we go. And I'll just, yeah, that's not bad at all. I'll just leave it just like that. This application is out of date. That way they know what's going on. And I want to make that into bold. And I want to do this, that, make it a little bit bigger. And I want to kind of try to, see here. There we go. Make it all nice and pretty. And then below this, I'm going to be making a button. And I like to manually make my buttons. So I'm going to be doing a width of about 200. Height, I'm just going to say 50. And I want it to be referencing this top. That way it won't ever go on top of the words. Since the text here is, this reference point is up at the very top, that means that whenever you adjust the height, it'll be still, no matter what, always negative 50 on the position Y, which is right here. So it'll always be using its positioning according to the top parameter. And because I've done it this way, it will be also. Now, it will not go any wider or less wide depending on the width of this, but the words will. So we've got the button started. And you can use whatever imaging you want. I have a very simple design I like to use. It's kind of ugly, but it works. There we go. And I make it into a black. And then I put in a mask. That way it'll stay into a circle shape no matter what I put behind it. And then I'm going to make another image. Whoops, I did empty. I didn't mean to do empty. There we go. And I'm going to make it the full size as the image above it, its parent. And over here I'm going to be using a grad that I got, which is right there. That one. I'm going to want to make it, there we go. Well, maybe a little bit more. There we go. And I'm going to be putting words on here. So let's go ahead and do another Text Mesh Pro. I'm going to be putting download. There we go. And I want to do an auto size. Let's make it in the dead middle. That way it looks a little bit more professional. And now for the button part, I'm going to be adding the script button. And I use my image for the things that change, which is the white. I like to make it turn red when my mouse goes over it. There we go. And what I'm going to be doing is putting on the script right over here. It's just going to be where I click on a button and it's going to automatically download the new application. And whenever it's done downloading, it'll just install. It'll be pretty simple. So in order to do that, we're going to be needing a progress bar still. And the obvious script. So I don't have the script on here yet. I actually removed it. We're going to be making that now. I'm going to be calling it this is a launcher for my game. I'm call it the launcher updater. That way this controls specifically just the launcher, not the actual game that it launches, but just the launcher. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it on the controller game object, where I'd like to put a lot of my main scripts at. Now we're going to edit the script. The start function is always called as soon as the game object comes into play in the active scene. And I only have one scene, so basically as soon as the game launches, this script will be launched and the start function will be called. I'm going to be needing to make a UnityWebRequest. In order to do that, I'm going to have to be calling a coroutine, and I'm going to be using Unity Engine.networking. And there we are. And so whenever we do start, with the start command, I'm going to be calling the IE enumerator. In order to call an IE enumerator, you'll have to use a start coroutine. Or, I mean, you don't have to. There's other ways around it, but it's a whole lot harder. We're just going to be using the start coroutine. Start, coroutine, start coroutine. And then the coroutine, or the IE enumerator going to be calling is going to be called look for updates. There we go. And now I'm going to be using the IE enumerator. Oops, actually, there we go. IE enumerator, and this is going to be look for updates. Okay. And the address that I'm going to be going to, I have a FileZilla, and this is my server. Okay, good. No real information is revealed anywhere. But inside the server, I can make a text file, and that text file works a lot like just a normal text feed. It's very basic, very easy, and lightweight to grab. It's possibly the best thing you could do. If you can upload a text file somewhere, then using the UnityWebRequest will grab just the text and not actually download the text file itself. And this is honestly the most efficient way that you can get information, is just by grabbing the text from something. Now this just says info.txt, and that document is right here. I just put testing in there. I just created a new document and did that. Now the version of the editor, yeah, it doesn't like that. I didn't finish my script. The version of the editor is, let's see here, project settings. We can go down to player. It is 0.1.4. Now I'm going to want to use this to determine what version that the user has, and I'm going to compare it to the version that's on my text document. So I'm going to need to copy this, and this is a string, not an actual number. So let's see here, there's the version number, and me typing in there we go, version is going to be that. The way that I do things, I find it much easier to have a symbol in front and a symbol at the end to find what I'm looking for. But we have a version here to compare it against, and let's say we're going to be needing a link to download from. I'm going to be typing in that here. I'm going to say URL is going to equal whatever. There we go. So now I have a version and a URL. I'm going to click on save. And then for that, I need to go up to my desktop. And then I'm going to be grabbing the new info. Or wait, yeah, it's called info. There it is. And I want to overwrite it. Very good. So now we know exactly what this says, and to test this, we're going to just make an empty text field, and we're going to get what is said on that info file and display, so that way we can verify that it is getting the correct information. I guess I'll just use a debug. That'd be the better way to do it. So now we're going to be using, let's see here, using I usually just copy and paste all this stuff if I've already wrote it once. So let me grab one here that I've already made. Here we are. And yep, that works just fine. So from here, actually I need to do that. Okay, so I'll explain this to you, and I'm going to delete out the things that, there we go, I'm going to delete out the things that we're not using. Okay, so this is going to be the Unity Web Request, and I'm going to be calling it the UWR, Unity Web Request, and this is a get function. Now I need to know where we're getting it from, and it's going to be right here, except I need to change this a little bit to the correct location. It is going to be inside Firstborn, Launcher, and Info. By doing so, we can right-click and just hit, see here, where is it? There it is, copy URL. Now this always does wrong if you use FileZilla. I don't understand why it's always wrong like that. But here we go. I'm going to click on that, and there we go. Now it's going to be getting the text file that I just made and just uploaded. And I'm not going to be using a download handler. I'm going to be just doing a simple get, and I just want it to be, I'm just getting the text out of it. So it's very simple. Yeah, this one here is set up for downloading stuff. That was probably a bad one to grab. I'm going to grab a better one here, or another one. Here we go. So that's a little better. Now this is as simple as it gets. We're using it to get my text file, and then this is what sends it off to go get it. And this is, it will not go any further until it gets the information from right here. Whenever it does, then we can continue on to this part. Now this is saying if the result does not equal an error. So this is basically if it returns something, then we want to know what it is. And that thing that we want to know what it is right here. It is the Unity Web Request, UWR.downloadHandler.text. So I always grab it once and I put it into a string, makes it a little bit easier. And now I'm just going to simply put in debug.log, and we're going to be just putting in result content. Actually, I'll do this. So here, result is going to be result content. There we go. So now, as soon as this starts up, nope, there we go. Now it's ready. So as soon as it starts up, it's going to be starting a new coroutine, which the coroutine basically, I don't know how accurate this is, but the way that I understand it is it will be starting a new thread. So it's not on the main thread, and we're going to be using look for updates. Now it's going to be a IE numerator, look for updates, and it's going to run this. It's very short and sweet. It's nothing hard, but it's going to just put in a debug.log, not lof, and this will happen as soon as we hit play. Of course, there's errors. Let me see what the errors are. The name www, of course, it doesn't exist. What am I doing? Unity Web Request, and there it is. Okay. Now we're going to let it compile, then we're going to hit play, and we're going to see if we get that debug log. Yep, there it was. I already seen it. It was up at the top. It got it really fast. See that? Result version 0.1.4. The URL is whatever.com. So now we're going to want to take this information and we're going to play with strings, and we're going to compare the version we have now to what is on that text. Let me go and end the play real quick. Okay, so we're going to be using result content, and we're going to first need to make a string, and we're going to call it the internet version. Internet version is going to equal results content dot split. And what are we splitting? We're going to be looking for the term, see here, what did I list it as? I think I just called it version and then equals. So I'm going to make a explained out version real quick here. String temp string is going to equal that. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for this string right here. In order to do that, I need to be throwing this in here. The reason being is because it wants a string. Now, if I just enter in that actual word right there, that would actually be an array instead of just a simple string. So by declaring a string and then putting in the string, you can use it this way, which is a whole lot simpler than the alternative. And what it does is it says as soon as you find this string, we're going to be breaking it. We're going to be splitting it somewhere, okay? It's going to be making an array out of it. So it'll be everything before it and everything after it, and as many times as it finds it, it'll be having a new array found. So anytime it finds version equals, which it finds it right here, okay, so it's going to be splitting it at this exact spot. Over here, which is actually nothing, will be the array called 0. Then everything after it is called the array 1. So we're going to be needing 1 on that. We go like this, and now it knows that I want just number 1 out of it. But then we also have a problem with it gets everything after what we want as well. So now we're going to be looking for that, the semicolon. So we're going to be typing split again, I should say. And all we got to do is just type in that 1 because it is just a single string. And then we're going to be typing 0 because we want everything before it. So we want everything after string version and then everything before that semicolon. That'd be the best way to explain it. And then what is that going to equal? It's going to equal just the version number. And because I don't really like to do it this way, I like to create a whole nother function. I call it void string, because it's going to be returning a string. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to call it get string, and it will require a string called A. And what that's going to be doing is we're going to be just creating a new temp string. It's going to equal A. Okay, and then I have to actually put in another string too. And actually this is going to be, instead of A, I'm going to be calling this one the full text. And then this one here is going to be the split. There we go. And the way this will work is exactly like what you see up here. Except I think it's going to be needing, no, that would be fine. In fact, I'm actually just going to copy that on over. That'd be the best way to do this. Here we are. And then the temp string, which is really no reason to even have the temp string, because that just doesn't need to be there. What we're going to be doing is, because it's already being forced into a string, so we can just use, well, using split would be a bad idea. Let's say using splitter. There we go. So we just got to put it in right here. And then the full text is going to be right here. There we go. And then I just got to put in return right here. And that's what it'll be returning, is this part. But now we also have one more variable we need to take care of. So we're going to call this the string before. And then another string called string after. There we go. Seems like a lot of work to set this up, but it's really not. String before, string after. Okay, then we can just delete that. So now we can just simply make a new string called, actually let's just do it this way. So the first thing we need to do is send in the full text, which what that is the result content. Actually, we need to call the function first. Get string. The first one is result content. Then the second string, which is before, we can actually just grab this here word version exactly like it is. And then the string after is just like that. And now it's going to grab version. Okay, and now we want to also make a new one, which is going to be for the URL. And what is the URLs? Let's see here. It is exactly that. There we go. Now it's going to be grabbing the internet version and URL both. Now we need to compare the internet version with the application version. And we're going to say if application dot version. Let's say if it does not equal if it does not equal the online internet version that we have found here, then what we're going to say is we're going to make a new debug. I have a extension that loves to just add crap on there that doesn't need to be on there. It drives me insane. We're putting, let's see here, if it does not equal, then I'm going to say there is no need, wait, actually it will say we need to update. And then we're going to put else. And we're going to actually remove the block that we have on if it's, let's see here. The proper way this should be is if it does need update, it'll activate the block. And if it does not need updated, then nothing will happen. So there's no real need for an else. What we need to do is make a new game object property. The game object, and we're going to call it update blocker, which sounds kind of the opposite of what it really is. We need to update. Okay, so then it'll be update blocker dot set active, and we're going to call it true. Okay, now let's go ahead and run this real quick. See your way if it does not equal the correct version. And I'm just going to put an else in here, that way we will know anyways. For now, I'll delete it later. We are up to date. Okay. Let's go and check it out and set the property. Invalid token string in class record. Let's see, where is that at? Line 34. Let's see what I messed up. Void string. Oh, void string. Can't have both. We can just put it in private. There we go. Private string, get string. Okay, now we need to, where is that? Here it is. We have the update blocker, which is going to be right here. And let's see, how do I have it? I have it as set to activate if we do not meet what we need. So we're going to go like that. And now let's go ahead and check it out. We're going to hit play. Okay, let's see here. It's going to be in one of these. Probably somewhere at the very top. We are up to date. All right, so it worked. And it worked by not activating it. So now we're going to just come in here and we're going to change our version. Just that way we can on purpose make it fail so we can see it. We're going to say we're back on version 1.3. And now I'm going to hit play. Your application is out of date. Download. So there you go. Now it's pretty darn obvious. It works really great so far. Now let's go ahead and figure out what we need to do with this now that we have that working. We need to, we're going to need to build our application and put it over here. So to do this, I'm going to have to, probably just have to make a test one for now. Probably be the best way to go about it. And you're going to need to make an installer. So that way what it'll do is you upload your file here or wherever you want, in any Google Drive, wherever you want to put it, it's going to be fine. But to do that, we're going to be needing to grab the version and make another Unity web request. To do that, it's always better to just go ahead and start a whole new one. We're going to call this download update. And then this is just going to be your address to your application. .exe. Okay, and from there we're going to need to actually go back to the one that I did have, which was perfect for actually downloading stuff. Here it is. And we're going to need to make a progress bar, that way people will know that it's actually downloading and working. So let's just go ahead and, yeah, here we go. Perfect. Okay, now there we go, and just need to change it to the application .exe. Now this will link straight to the download link for the new version that you are trying to put up. And you can always test it just by uploading anything except for a text document. You could put in I don't know, you can just even make a fake test app. That way you'll know it actually downloads. And then this next part, which is the download handler, it will put this somewhere. And wherever you want it to be put, you'll need to have it right here. That being said, we need to define a place for this to be put at. And this is actually perfect. And I'm going to be putting it right here. There's going to be a string called game folder. And it's just going to be equaling nothing right now. We need to make it a private string. There we go. And then whenever we start, we need to go ahead and declare what that is, game app folder. And yep, it'll be going inside of this folder here. And we could just leave it at that. So now it knows it needs to go inside the game app folder, and it'll be called download.zip. I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to name it launcher installer. There we go. So what this will do is it's going to be downloaded, and it's going to be named launcherinstaller.zip. That means I'll have to actually pack it up into a zip file as well. If you are using WinRAR or 7-zip, then you'll need to change your extension. Now, this here tells it to go ahead and start downloading. And this is saying while the operation is done, or wait, it's going to say is not done because there's an exclamation, then we're going to be running through this. What this is progress.value. That's going to be our slider, so that needs to be a float. And then this here is for the text. And this is how many bytes there are. And you can, yep, there's the text of how many bytes you have downloaded. And this is how long it will be taking between updates. I'm going to change this to 0.5 because this is going to be a pretty smaller file. And once all that's done, the slider will be all the way maxed out. We want to say download complete and the progress to be blank. So let's go ahead and make those things real quick. One's going to be a slider. It's going to be called progress. Serialized field, private slider, and we're going to call this progress. Now the issue with sliders is that we're going to be needing to use UnityEngine.ui, and we're also going to be needing to use TextMesh Pro. There we go. So now we have this part done, and now we need to make a progress text. That's the TextMesh Pro part we're going to be using. And it's called TextMesh Pro UGUI. Let's see, what else do we need? That's a progress text and then debug text, so we need one more. Which I'm just going to enter in that right there and then copy and paste. There we go. Now they're all listed. And let's take a quick look and see if that's just going to work like it is. I think it actually will. Yeah, that looks good actually. I say that, and of course there's always errors. environment and bytes to string. That is actually a function that I made. So I'm going to just copy and paste that. Let's see here. Here it is. I don't know of a better way to do it, so I actually found that online. Someone else made it, and it is absolutely awesome. So I use it on anything that I can. Very efficient, and it works great. And I need to be using, let's see, I think it's system. There we go. The system is for the environment, and then that was that. So we're going to turn this back on just so I can see what I'm messing with. We got the text, the button, and now I'm going to be making a slider. Let's see here. Slider, there it is. And I want this to be at the very bottom. And I want it to be the full length and width. The full width. I think it'd be best if I actually steal this one. There we go. So we got the background, and we got everything we need here. Okay, so in order to set this up, this is just a regular slider. Min value is 0, max value is 1, and make sure the whole numbers is not checked. You want it to be able to do a float. See that? If it's using whole numbers, you won't see any of this. It'll just be like not downloaded, then bam, it's downloaded. We don't want that. So now that we have this part done, we're going to call this our progress. And now we need 2 text panes. One to show the percentage, and another one to show how many bytes is downloaded. I think that's right. Let's take a look at it just to make sure. So we're going to be using the debug text. We'll say how much as in file size is downloaded, and progress text is the percentage. So I will probably put the percentage on top of the slider and then put the debug text above it saying how much is downloaded. I'm going to be having 2 UIs, Text Mesh Pro. This is going to be percent. And then this will be size. That way I'll know which is which. The percent I want on top of this bar here, so I'm actually just going to parent that and go like this. Auto size, and I want it to have the width. There we go, perfect. We'll start off with saying 0%. That way if it pops up and hasn't changed yet, it'll just say 0, which ought to be at the very beginning, so that ought to be just right. And then for the size, oh no, that's how I want it, never mind. Okay, so the size, I'm going to be wanting to be based off the bottom. I'm going to just put about like that. And then I'm going to be putting, I think 50. Yeah, 50 sounds good. Auto size again. Let's make it in the dead center. And I think for the height I actually want it around 30. Make it a little bit smaller. Now this is the actual progress. Or no, wait, sorry, this is the size. So I'm going to be putting 0 megabyte to start off with. Same exact reason that that's that way. And then from here I want the controller. I need to now put all this stuff in. Progress is going to be going here. Progress text, which is percent. And here's the debug. There we go. Now we also want to make this button make all this appear and disappear, which I think it'd be best if I make that into the child of it. And that way I can just make the one thing activate and deactivate. So when I push on this button, on click is going to do what? It's going to make the progress become visible. Game object, activate, true. So now the actual progress can just be turned off. That way whenever I click the button, it'll make all that turn on. Let's go and test that out real quick. Okay, I click the button, bam, there it is, and we'd start downloading now. Okay, so now we know that part works. Now we need to make a function. It's going to be getting, where is it? It's going to be getting this link, which I need to actually do this. Okay, and then there we go. That way the URL is using a saved string that's up here. Then we'll be declaring it down here. It'll already be declared. And then I need to make a new button or a new function. It needs to be a private function or a public one. Void. We're going to say download. Now this is what's going to happen whenever I press on the download button. We're going to be needing to download it. Actually, this here will be doing the downloading. Okay, that's where I am wrong. But actually, yeah, we still do need to do this. Download the update. There. And I need to have this in a start coroutine. There. Now whenever I click that button, which I'm going to assign it to download, let's go ahead and do that now. Controller, launcher updater, and download. Now whenever I click on it, it'll activate my progress bar and it'll start downloading. And then whenever it does finish downloading, and it'll download to right here, when all that is done, we need to make it close the application or close itself and open the other one, but not in that order. We're going to be needing to do a application dot open URL, and then the URL is of course this right here. Okay, so that tells it to open, or that tells it to open up the downloaded application, but only after it's been downloaded. So after it's downloaded and it's complete, then we're going to be opening up what we have just downloaded, and then we need to do a application dot quit. I believe that's right. There we go. Now, what will happen whenever you click on the download, it'll tell me if that's wrong or not. Nope, that was right. Okay. So when we click on this, it'll open up the progress bar and it will start downloading. And then whenever it's done downloading, it'll just close the whole application and it'll open up the new one, or the installer. Now, let's see here. So I'm going to compile this whole thing and upload it, and then we're going to test it. Okay, so I went ahead and finished And I found a few issues that I need to go ahead and explain. So I have it being to where I upload it as an exe, and I was downloading it as a zip. So I had to change this to an exe because that's what we're going to be running. Now, if you do want to, if you do need to put it into a zip, you can easily do that. There is a very easy way to unpack with one simple line to extract and put it wherever you need to be. But this is the way I'm doing it, is just uploading it as an exe. That way I can use it. And since I have done that, now I'm going to build. Like I said, I've already uploaded. Let me show you that as well. I've uploaded it as application.exe right where I needed it to be. And now I'm going to build and run. And I changed the version back because see, this is still working on 1.3 or 0.1.3. So the versions will not match. We're going to test what happens when they don't match. So let's go ahead and do that. Here it is, version does not match, so it thinks it's out of date. We're going to hit download, and everything works out fine there. It closes, and here it is. Now we're installing the new one. Pretty darn cool. And here it is. That's the updated one. Pretty cool, right? You're welcome.